The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Join in for our show of Next. And one of the reasons I decided to call it Next is because everyone has a next, no matter what age you are. But in particular, I'm focusing on people who at the moment may be in a different stage in their life and in their career. And what, from their perspective, is making the remainder of their professional life and personal life a great next for them. And I think that there are some amazing things that people are doing out there. And somebody said to me yesterday when I was chatting with them, well, you get gray hair. Women have a way to deal with that, but you get gray hair and companies are not necessarily always interested in keeping you on or promoting you to a next position. And you know personally that you have a lot more to give. And my guest today is David Gallimore. David's a fascinating man. He's a boat captain. He recreated himself a number of times and has a fabulous consulting practice around leadership. He worked for Boeing and Capgemini before he embarked on this new fantastic career, really focusing around developing great leaders. And I have a philosophy, I suspect David does too, that no great ship is run without great leaders, no matter where they are in the organization. And they may not necessarily be in the top of the house, but we shall see. We shall see through all these discussions with fascinating people who have regenerated, I believe that's David's term, regenerated and recreated themselves many times over for a happier, more purposeful, and more productive life. So let me introduce David Gallimore.
Hello,
Hey,
Linda.
Captain. How are you?
I'm well, and you?
I'm good, and you look pretty snappy there, and on the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast, so that's how good technology is today.
Well, it's great to be here with you, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Yeah, same to you. Same to you. Are you ready for the holidays?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we're going to keep it simple. In the spirit of regeneration, we're just going to kind of winter.
Right. Winter. Beautiful. Beautifully said. So tell me, David, give me the cliff notes on what got you to regeneration.
Linda, this has been, as you said in your kind introductions, thank you for that, a journey. And to be completely transparent, I think I'm still just kind of in the first few tacks using sailor language along this journey.
Being a boater, I love that.
Thank you. Me too. It's my happy place.
Right.
I would say that the catalyst for regeneration really started when I met and married Margaret, who is a Tlingit and Tahltan Native American, born and raised in Southeast Alaska. And she was already a diehard recycler, which I was, and I thought that that was sufficient, but she took it way beyond. And organic, before organic produce was a thing, and I think as a child of parents who didn't have much, and my parents who were raised in the Depression and then the war, we were very frugal. And so this idea of regeneration, aligned with the logic of life, the seasons of nature, and where are there opportunities in my own life to go spring-like and summer-like into my career and my job. And I was successful as an executive program manager, developing different businesses for IBM and Boeing and Capgemini. But learned from her that I can't just be working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, which was my natural inclination, type A, drive personality. You can relate, I suspect. But she was that wonderful yin and to my yang. She was that keel that was keeping me stable, and I think regeneration really started there.
Oh, that's such a nice story. So how did it move on into your career? Because I know that you the last place you worked was Capgemini, I believe,
Correct.
right? And so you moved on through some major companies and then decided to go into your own consulting practice, which I might add is very successful.
Thank
So
you.
how'd you make those transitions?
Yeah, and if I may, just maybe step back slightly,
Sure.
because you said in your introductions that I have had many transitions, many pivots, many tacks, and part of it is my neurodiversity, ADHD, and I have a number of clients like me that I think it's a little bit of fear of missing out, a little bit of, oh, shiny object, oh,
Right.
secret squirrel, and so those pivots really, I think, have formed my character, and also have created an amazingly rich life. So transitioning from systems engineer at IBM to then founding a company by being able to see around the corner and unbundling IBM's technical training from $10 million mainframe sales. And that was hugely successful. And I got to apply my master's degree in adult learning theory and technology. Another transition that was very momentous was realizing that as a lover of teaching and learning and then sharing what I learned, and successful at that, it was the first place where organizations would cut their budget. So as a training director of two different companies and getting laid off because it just wasn't, building product, selling product, supporting customers. And so though I love teaching and I still teach sailing and I certainly teach clients, and in my writing, I think of myself as a teacher. It didn't put food on the table as a sole provider. So then becoming a program manager and bringing new technology, new disruptive technologies and new business models together to create value, and had the privilege of doing that at Boeing and at Capgemini. And then there's this thing called ageism. And I know
Right.
you are finding in your own next chapter joy and a sense of adventure that I'm 63 and I think of myself as still 43. And
Yeah, I've chopped 20 years off of me too.
right?
Yes.
To me, it's not about calendar age. It's about
Right.
how I feel and what I can do. And the biggest thing I find is I have to overcome fear. We can maybe talk about that in a
Yeah,
moment.
let's talk about that in a moment. That's a great concept, because I think we all function at a level of fear. And I'm just going to throw this in. I've done radio shows before, as you well know, but I've been a while, and I have a sense of fear that, oh, is it going to go well? Is it all right? All of that. So we'll talk about
Right.
that.
And it's completely natural, by the way. If you think that everybody else doesn't have imposter syndrome, every one of my clients, and I've served over 1,000 clients in my clinic at Seattle University, to private clients, to myself. And how do you manage that? So the last pivot that really, I think, addresses your question is this pivot to coaching My wife, after I got laid off with 255 other Capgemini VPs and directors, at the time it was very, very difficult.
Traumatic, I'm
Unemployed for
sure.
over a year as a
Yeah.
sole provider. But again, my wife Margaret, coming up on 36 years of marriage, she asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And frankly, I didn't know, and I had
Hmm.
to find my core values, which are love, which includes family and community and compassion. So it's kind of an Uber value.
Hmm.
Adventure. I used to have challenge, and then I was attracting far too many problems. So I changed it to adventure, and I have far fewer issues and way more fun. Creating
That's
and building.
brilliant. How did you
And
make
then,
that change in your attitude?
well, part of my work with clients is to help them really reflect on who they are
Hmm.
at their core. We all share across the globe, across cultures, across ages and ethnicities, peace, family, health,
Hmm.
but those are not sufficient. Excuse me. I get all choked up just talking about this.
Oh,
Uh, it's not sufficient on a Monday morning when really what you want to do is kind of stay under the covers and eat pizza. The idea of who am I now at this time, and the word challenge, when I reflected in my journaling in the morning or when I was doing my Marshall Goldsmith daily questions,
hmm.
uh, did I do my best to dot dot dot
Right.
live challenge? And I thought, yeah, I did so well that I attracted way too many issues, and so I'm going to reframe that into adventure. And I still have problems and issues. We all do, but
Yeah, we all
bringing
do.
that explorer mindset has been so game changing for me.
That's so important, reframing that problem mindset to explorer mindset. I think people in our situation, I'm older than you. I'm not going to say how
Just a
much older,
little
though
bit, but
you
not
know.
much.
But, changing that mindset to an explorer and an adventurer makes it so much more exciting than problems and wait. And I don't think that's easy for people. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not easy. How did
No,
you do that?
it was a muscle that I clearly had to strengthen
Yeah,
because our identity is so indelibly part of us, either through how we were parented or society's expectations, the
right,
media.
right.
Uh, and if I hadn't have had that year of unemployment, which
Yeah,
now I think it was a huge gift, I really do,
yeah.
because
Probably was, David.
it did it forced me to confront what is it that I'm really wanting to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when Margaret said, "What do you want to be when I grow up?" I said, "I really want to coach people."
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily the traditional just ask questions kind of a coach, but
Mm-hmm.
that hybrid where a little bit of teaching, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
deep listening,
Mm-hmm.
doing formulation, getting to the root cause of somebody's challenges and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, not everybody wants to have a coach. What they want is the outcome. So it's not
Right.
about me. It's not about the billable hours. It's not about creating a client for life.
Mm-hmm.
What it's about is what can we do in 90 days or what can we do in 30 days? What
Mm-hmm.
are the outcomes that people really want? And focus like a laser beam on that. That was the kind of
Mm-hmm.
coaching. So I brought a lot of how I led teams, create an environment
Mm-hmm.
where teams can come and do their best and most creative work. And if they get blocked, which happens all the time, using Eli Goldratt's theory of constraints, zero in on this constraint, like the Toyota production line where the assembly worker pulls the andon cord and stops the line and the
Mm-hmm.
red lights spin and the sirens and this
Mm.
SWAT team comes out and helps. That was the approach that I was taking and I'm taking with clients so that they get really clear about who they are, what is their brand. In other words, how do they show up in the world? How do
Mm-hmm.
people see them? And if we don't manage our own brand, others are going to manage it on our behalf.
Right.
And so living more consciously, I think, has been the biggest awakening that I had.
Yeah.
And as a result, when I've aligned, who I am at this point in my life, and it does change, I think, over time.
Mm-hmm.
But once that the thoughts and the behaviors and the opportunities, it's easy then to say no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And for an ADHD neurodiverse person to say no, one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, I
But
have
with
that problem
that,
too.
using the core values as a decision criteria has been game changing. And the
Yeah.
other tool that I think has been very helpful, I discovered, thankfully, with the Google algorithm, I saw a YouTube video about Ikigai, which is a
Oh,
Japanese
talk about that. That's
philosophy.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, a Japanese philosophy about your reason for being.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a student of the blue zones, these are the
Yeah.
7 or 8 areas around the world, including Okinawa, Japan, where you've got
Which is
per
fascinating. Yeah.
capita more centenarians
Mm-hmm.
than anywhere else in the world. One of the common traits is that they are living their passion, they feel a
Mm-hmm.
contribution to others and service to
Mm-hmm.
others. They're getting paid a reasonable amount, not too little, not too much, but Goldilocks,
Mm-hmm.
just right. And they have that sense of meaning and purpose, what Simon Sinek calls our why. And once
Right.
those things are aligned, well, now you can just take off. The
Right.
boat just flies down the water.
It's fascinating though. A couple of years ago, I guess, I went to Sardinia because it is one of the zone countries, and the sense of community there is also a factor of blue zone organizations, and you could really feel it there. It was not a materialistic place, as and there is a blue zone in the United States. I think it's Loma Linda, is it?
That's
Of
correct.
course, it's named Linda.
It's a foreshadow.
It's a foreshadow. Exactly. Exactly. Well,
It's in
that's
your name.
fascinating. Right. Right. So what is your next for you now?
Thank you. This is still evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And back in November of 2021, when I was just fixated on the world leaders coming together to help put a plan, single plan,
Mm-hmm.
and an alignment along that plan about how we could improve the health of our people across the
Mm-hmm.
globe, improve the health of our biodiversity, because we're not the only species on the planet.
What a
And
shock.
then, right. And then if we arm in arm work together instead of
Mm-hmm.
working against one another, we could actually improve the health of our planet. Despite
Mm-hmm.
what Elon Musk is saying about we're all going to be going to Mars, I
Mm.
can't imagine 8, 9, or even 10 billion people, which is likely what the planet will support,
Right.
leaving Earth anytime soon. So as a
Right.
captain, professional captain, doing deliveries on the ocean and enjoying ocean adventures, the first priority is you take care of your ship, our only
Right.
home.
Right.
So how do we do that? Right now, the polarization of our country, not just in the US, but all over the
Mm-hmm.
globe.
Worldwide. Yeah.
And if you saw the movie Don't Look Up, which was a
Mm-hmm.
bit of a kind of a comedy, a dark comedy about, hey, how some of these topics like climate and kind of social justice, I mean, these are big, gnarly, challenging, multi-millennial
Mm-hmm.
challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I would call them polarities to be
Mm-hmm.
managed, not problems to solve.
Right.
And
I like that
so
perspective too. Not enough people have that, understanding the polarity. Go ahead. I'm
it's
sorry.
it's been really, oh, it's great. I'm so glad that we're having this dialogue. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I love about what I do, right? Get to meet with smart people, thoughtful people that want to make a difference in the world. So this pivot that I made after November, when frankly the world leaders were not coming together, and I said to Margaret, I've been given so much opportunity. I feel so blessed. What can I do? And so that led me on a 4-year journey, and I'm still evolving. But my basic belief is it has to start with each of us. And I put my finger on my own nose.
Mm-hmm.
What are my shadows? What are the blocks that I still have that I'm not willing to actually do anything about? Like sometimes I procrastinate. In fact, on things that are traditionally challenging for me, financial management or some of the detail stuff. I'm more of a bigger picture person, and I surround myself with people that are brilliant at managing all of the details. Well, now as a solopreneur, guess what? I get to do the vision, but then I have to
Detail,
actually do everything
execute.
else.
Right. Yeah, I
So
crossed that path myself, so I
yeah,
understand completely.
so I'm still working through that, and asking for help
Hmm.
has been huge, right? Lowering one's ego and pride,
Hmm.
and just saying, you know what, I suck at this. Can you help
Yep.
me? So beginning with me, how do I create more emotional resilience and more emotional capacity? And there's been a lot of inner work looking
Mm.
at why am I feeling it in some venues, like writing my book. Why do I
Want
think
to hear
I'm not
about your
enough?
book? Yep.
Yeah, it's about regeneration, and how
Yeah.
can we do that at a personal level. So when you throw a pebble into a pond, a very calm pond, it creates ripples. And I believe the ripples that I can help, again, that environment where people can come and do their best and most creative work. This is now aligned around the improving the health of our people and biodiversity and our planet. And I believe that business is a huge lever. And
Totally.
so, beginning with me, my family, my teams, organizations, our community, if we can arm in arm just continue to level up or tack our way to healthier day by day,
Hmm.
and then we create more capacity to maybe not be so selfish. And again, I put my
Hmm.
finger on my own nose
Right.
as a recovering someone who sometimes just thinks nothing but his own needs and
Hmm.
objectives and goals. It is about this need for creating a collective and consciousness raising, that we are not necessarily at the top of the pyramid, but we in fact are part of this ecosystem. And frankly, to be blunt, Mother Nature, the planet Earth, she doesn't really care if we live. She doesn't. There have been 5 previous mass extinctions, and we're in the 6th, and there's no guarantee that we will survive unless we adapt. And I think
Yeah.
that's where my father, Peter Gallimore, who was a executive at Boeing, he said, when people get their nose and their toes over the precipice, so imagine
Hmm.
you're leaning right over the Grand Canyon,
Right.
that's when our inventiveness, our creativity, and when we come together. We've
Right.
seen that with just here in Seattle with our 2 atmospheric rivers. People are pulling together to help our neighbors that have lost everything in the floodwaters.
Yeah.
And I'm
Right.
sure you've seen it where you are in New England and New
Yeah.
York, where they've had all sorts of hurricanes and flooding and other things over the years. And people come together. We came together after 9/11. So we
Right.
know it's in us. And I just want to be that, again, create that environment, lead by example first, and just share like Marshall Goldsmith does as freely as I possibly can to help others with their own journey and
Right.
realize that they can be who they want to be. And so
Hmm.
that's my mission right now, is to help leaders, purpose-driven leaders and their organizations to be who they want to become.
Yeah.
And in the process of that, create capacity to maybe look at their own behaviors, their own decisions, how to improve the health of our people,
Hmm.
biodiversity, and planet.
That's so interesting because it's very difficult You know this, and I know this. A lot of our colleagues know this. It's very difficult to look yourself in the mirror, at yourself in the mirror, and recognize those things that you really have to change. And you may know it deep down in your heart, but it's very, very hard to do. You know how Marshall Goldsmith is, for those who don't know, is a very, I guess, David, I would say, the world's leading executive coach. And interestingly enough, he has decided that he doesn't want to do that anymore because he thinks he's past, his prime, but he's still doing a lot of really interesting things. It's really tapping into those values that are so, so important and really trying to live them. So give us a little insight. What's the title of your book? When's your book coming out? What can this audience get from it?
Well, thank you. I do, if I may, just talk just briefly about fear,
Yes,
if
that's
I can
very
do that,
important. I love
and
that.
and then
Yes.
and then I'd love to talk about just where the Regenerate You is
Mm-hmm.
the title of the book. So as you described earlier, there are this tension between what we know and then what we do about what we know,
Mm-hmm.
and
And that's the fear factor.
I think fear is a part of it. That, also lack of clarity, for me
Mm-hmm.
anyway. Like if I have too many options, if I've been watching too many YouTube videos or read too many books,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just diverging at some point, and again in their spirit of regeneration, you can't always be living spring and summer. Sometimes you have to let the leaves fall
Right.
and
Right.
then tend to your soil in the winter,
Right.
and then you can, grow anew in the spring.
Right. Great
So this
analogy. I love that.
Well, this is the logic of life.
Mm-hmm.
3.8 billion years of evolution of
Mm-hmm.
life.
Mm-hmm.
And we human beings have been around roughly 200,000 years. And we think we've all got it all figured out. Well, I think a lot of the indigenous people, of which my wife is an elder now,
Right.
and a loving spirit, I think we can learn a lot from
Mm-hmm.
others that are more aligned with nature.
More aligned with nature. I think that's really a great
Yeah.
concept.
So that may be another conversation that we can have, and I
Yes.
would love to do that with you
Me too.
if that serves this audience and yourself. So back to fear briefly. I think acknowledging that I have a fear about, say, detail work and financial management and exercise, that I don't like to feel uncomfortable. Those are
Mm-hmm.
probably my big three. I have to acknowledge those, and then this idea of atomic habits and little steps. How do you? I hate this analogy, but we all know it. How do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time.
Oh, right. I actually haven't heard that analogy, but it
Okay.
is. It is
Yeah.
the small things.
Yeah. Everybody, I think, wants this immediate transformation. And I tell my
Mm-hmm.
clients who
Doesn't
ask me, well,
happen.
how do you help me transform in 3 days? And I go,
Mm.
well, that's a
Impossible.
miracle. And I don't
Right.
do miracles.
That's right. I don't.
But
Right.
if you want to
Exactly.
work for 90 days, I can help you.
That's possible.
And
Yeah.
and so it's really about acknowledging the fear and letting the
Mm.
fear bubble up. Michael A. Singer, who
Yeah.
wrote The Untethered Soul and The Surrender Experiment, that was a
Mhm.
huge catalyst for me. He was referred to me by my mentor and friend, Bert Eckert, who runs a company called QLX.com.
Mhm.
And I just know that by letting those emotions well up, the fearful emotions well up, putting a label on them, that was very
Mm.
helpful to have that emotion wheel where
Mhm.
you've got maybe 50 or 60 different emotions that are written down. So now I have language, and then I can ask for help from
Mhm.
people that are better at detail work and better at financial management and better at exercise, and being kind and gentle with myself when I suck at this for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important, and not just to give up,
No,
because
never give
when you
up, never
suck at
surrender.
something, never, it's like, oh God, I really can't do that, but whatever. So, David, one final quick question. When is your book coming out?
Oh, it was supposed to come out 7 years ago, Linda.
Oh, yeah,
So
well, I understand that too.
all kidding aside, I have a literary agent. We're in the process of putting a book proposal together. I've written the book. I just now need
You
to.
just got to get a publisher.
Yeah, I thought about self-publishing, but I also recognize that a more traditional writing publishing relationship can create, more impact, and that's my sixth value is impact.
Yeah,
And
there
so
you
I'm
go.
I'm hopeful. Now, if I can't get a publisher in 2026, then I will self-publish.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get a publisher, and if I can help you in any way, Wiley Press and Macmillan Press um, published my books.
And that's what
Um,
we're looking at is Wiley.
yeah, I had a good experience with them, and we won't bore our audience with that. But uh, I will just tell you personally that I think there's so much self-publishing going on, and there's no monitoring, in my view. And if you go with a publishing house that is credible with a lot of experience, you get, I guess it's the good house. Does it even good housekeeping still exist? I don't know, but you get the seal of approval of a very credible organization. Well, David, this was great. Any last words you want to share with the audience?
I would say this one thing, that when you think about the beginning with the end in mind, Stephen Covey,
Right.
one of those 7 habits, and there's a terrific book, and I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the writer's name. We put it in the show notes, but The
Mm.
5 Regrets of the Dying.
Oh,
So
interesting. I've
by
seen that book. Yeah.
looking at you're on your last gasp just before
Yeah.
you transition to
Right.
whatever you
Again.
believe.
Right.
What do you want to be known for? What is
Yeah,
your
that's a great
legacy?
question. That's a great question. I love that.
And I'm still in the process of answering that question, but
Yeah.
I'm much, much clearer about what I do on a Monday morning, living my core values,
Mm-hmm.
being in service to others in a way that also lights me up, right? So it's not a forced march, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
joyful adventure. And if you can get as clear as you can, as early as you can, and you can thrive at any age,
Mm-hmm.
then you will live a life of joy and ease. You'll make your work your play. I don't intend to retire. I don't think you do either. I just will be choosing forms and fun people to be with and interesting, challenging problems to solve
Mm-hmm.
until I can't.
Right.
So that
Right.
would be my closing wish, is everybody thinks about just before they pass, what do they want to be known for?
Yeah.
And to not wait. Memento mori, the Stoics say, remember
Yeah.
death. Not in a Dave Downer perspective, but
Right.
this is a day, it might be our last. How do we just squeeze all the juice out of
Right.
it today?
Right. Yeah. That's really great. You've inspired me in this conversation. I really feel a new breath of excitement because of our discussion, and I thank you a lot for that. And I'd like you to just say to the audience how they get a hold of you, David, because I think, people need that opportunity to really get to their core values and understand what they are and understand what they look like in action. And you could be great help to people in that score. So how do people get a hold of you?
I suspect that you'll have a couple links in the show notes,
Yeah.
and people can go to regenerativeworldgroup.com.
Okay.
It's quite a mouthful, but
Yeah.
regenerativeworldgroup.com, and you can learn a little bit more about me. And I have a number of free resources,
Great.
and it'd be a privilege to speak to any of your listeners. There's a 15-minute discovery call if people want to just have a chat about something that's priceless and essential to them,
Okay. So
and help them
that's great
maybe
criteria.
reframe something so that they can move forward.
Yeah. Boy, those are two great criteria for thinking about things. Well, thank you so much, David. This was enlightening. It was
Thank you.
great. And I've known you for a while, and I learned a lot of stuff on this discussion that I did not really know. So that was really good. And
Isn't
you
that the
have
best part of being a podcast host?
yeah. Well, like I said to you, it's not about me. It's about the guest and what they can, bring to the party. So you have a wonderful rest of the holiday season and a great 2026.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I hope that you got as much out of this discussion as I did. And this show is going to be on every 2 weeks with interesting and exciting people who've done a lot in their lives and are continuing to do a lot in their lives, no matter what stage they're in. And, I coach some students at UNCW, Wilmington in North Carolina. And it's funny. Well, it's not funny really, but every person, no matter what age they are at a certain point, are thinking about what's their next. So I want to break the attitudes and thoughts about people who are older who can't continue to contribute to the world in a really meaningful way. Change our thinking about that because we're all going to live supposedly somewhere closer to 100 than people in the past have. Uh, anyway, it's been a pleasure. I hope you got something out of it. And stay tuned. Look for me again. Bye.